Oiler fans are fired up. No, folks, no pun intended that based on who they are playing tonight, but some reinforcements off of injured reserve have come to save the Oilers. All that more today as we preview tonight's Battle of Alberta against the Calgary Flames. But first, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so. If you're part of the 23%, we'd like to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed to the channel. But folks, 76% of you still haven't subscribed, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler news. But without further ado, the power of German engineering. Folks, I only got 2 words for you for tonight's game against the Calgary Flames, and those 2 words are Leo's back. Yes, Leon Draisaitl, number 29, the assistant captain for the Edmonton Oilers, the leading goal scorer in the NHL, is back in the lineup tonight as the Oilers take on the Calgary Flames, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain, in the second game of the Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. Now, of course, you're saying, well, this is a long time since we played the Flames, and yeah, that's just how the NHL scheduling has gone, with 2 games in the first, month of the NHL schedule, and nothing until tonight, March 29th. Now, when it comes to Leon Draisaitl, in his thoughts heading into tonight's game, how he feels, he says, I felt good out there. I have to talk to the doctors and see what the final decision is, but all I can say is that I felt pretty good. I'll play through anything if it's at the right time. It has happened, unfortunately, the last 2 playoff runs for us, but I think this is not the time where you tinker with things like that, looking at the big picture. There's always a little bit of pain involved in anything. You can go throughout the room and find everybody with something, but I'm certainly smart about it. And I know, the last couple years, last 2 or 3 years for the Oilers, Leon Draisaitl has been harboring something through the Stanley Cup playoffs, but he's been pretty efficient too. 32 points in the Western Conference final appearance against the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, had that monster series against the Vegas Golden Knights, and of course last year, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, they're 31 points. So in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I always liken him to a non-dirty version of Claude Lemieux, where he just turns it up at the right time. And he sort of described the way he felt, during that Utah game, and his thoughts on the Oilers right now. It was kind of a weird play, and I felt it pop or grab right away. I think you could see my discomfort. It was a weird situation just because of where I was at and where the game was at. It was a 5-0 game, so maybe if that's a tight game, I'm probably not stressing. I'm probably pulling out, so it's all good, and it feels good now. Would I rather have played the 3 or 4 games? Yes, absolutely, but we still haven't clinched anything. We still got a ways to go here. We got to win some hockey games and dial in our game a little bit. So obviously, you want to be a part of that. Of course, it's the, the mindset of the coaching staff and management. Okay, you have players, important players on injured reserve, but the way you are looking in the standings, or the full mindset heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs, where you're not as strong as you thought you are. It's sort of a darned if you do, darned if you don't situation here. But the Oilers, I think, are playing it very, very smart, especially with Leon Draisaitl in Connor McDavid. And it was a very interesting 3 games without Leon Draisaitl. Of course, the 4-3 loss to the Winnipeg Jets, and the 2 other losses to the Dallas Stars in the Seattle Kraken, although they did beat Seattle without either McDavid or Draisaitl. So of course, 2 points is 2 points, but in the grand scheme of things, you'd rather more in that time frame. And I mean, it's always good having a 100-point player back in the lineup. Still 1 point off, or 1 goal, I should say, off of 50. So hopefully he gets it back tonight. Of course, he brings some stability to the Oilers power play that has been very problematic over the last couple games, especially in the last game against Seattle too, where it just did not look dangerous whatsoever. Just taking a look at the lineup with Leon Draisaitl tonight, still without McDavid or Matthias Ekholm. We'll get an Ekholm update in just a second, but Vasily Podkolzin and Leon Draisaitl in Victor Arvidsson. Jeff Skinner on the second line tonight with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in Zach Hyman. Big fan of how that second line looks. And then Max Jones, Adam Henrique, and Kasperi Kapanen. Corey Perry, he missed the morning skate today due to maintenance, but he is projected to play tonight against the Calgary Flames with Matisse Janmark and Connor Brown on the back end tonight. You got Jake Wallman and Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse and Troy Stetcher, and then Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson with John Klingberg or Troy Stetcher, or I should not Troy Stetcher. You got Ty Emberson back in the lineup, but no Klingberg tonight. He is out of the lineup. Of course, that last lineup against the Kraken was very, very weird, but tonight seems to get back to a state of normalcy with Calvin Pickard getting the start tonight against the Calgary Flames. But when it comes to Matisse Ekholm, Kris Knoblauch, he's just being, cautious with Ekholm, just something that's lingering. If this was a playoff game, he's in the lineup tonight, but it's something that we don't want to get worse, and hopefully it's something that can be healed with some time off. Of course, Ekholm, ever since, before the Four Nations face-off and after the Four Nations face-off, he's been dealing with something, and then when he did come back from it, he just did not look the same vintage Matisse Ekholm that we are used to seeing here. So hopefully he rests up, and of course, time always helps when it comes to dealing with injuries. And it's late March, folks. It's time to scoreboard watch tonight in the NHL, and especially the Pacific Division, with the Golden Knights taking on the Predators tonight. And we have to cheer for the Leafs tonight, folks. I know I feel weird about it as well, but they take on the Los Angeles Kings. As we look at the Pacific Division standings here, of course, we have Vegas and LA 2 points ahead of the Edmonton Oilers with a game in hand here. You can see at the bottom of the screen tonight's opponent, the Calgary Flames, still in that hunt for the second wildcard spot. So both teams just itching to play some desperate hockey tonight. You can see their Calgary's past 10 games lost twice to Seattle there, lost to Vancouver in a shootout, and lost to Colorado in Toronto. But you can see there they had a 4-game win streak. Yes, they swept the tri-state area, the Islanders, the Devils, and the Rangers, and they also did beat Seattle 4-3 in overtime off the back of Dustin Wolf, who will be starting tonight in net for the Calgary Flames. But just taking a look at their forward lineup here: Yegor Sharangovich, Nazem Kadri, Martin Pospisil, Jonathan Huberdeau, Morgan Frost, Matthew Coronado, Joel Farabee, Mikhail Backlund, and Blake Coleman, and Ryan Lomberg, Kevin Rooney, and Adam Klapka. Of course, they did lose Connor Zary for a while there after a hit from Mikko Rantanen. So big loss here for the Calgary Flames. On the back end here, Joel Hanley and Mackenzie Weegar, Kevin Ball, Rasmus Anderson, who did miss the skate this morning for the Flames, but again, he is projected to play with Jake Bean and Braden Pahal. And between the pipes tonight, a Calder candidate here for the Calgary Flames, one Mr. Dustin Wolf, with a 2.67 goals against average and a 909 save percentage. But it's been a very interesting last 5 games here for Dustin Wolf, putting up a 778 against the Dallas Stars. Got 2 wins, but again, a sub 900 save percentage and an 808 and an 889. So hopefully the Edmonton Oilers can capitalize on that tonight and sort of get inside the head of Dustin Wolf. It shocked me that they wouldn't go with, Dan Vladar, who has been known to be an Oiler killer over the past couple years. But just on paper, some basic stats here going into tonight's Oilers-Flames game. Of course, the Oilers are a top 10 power play. Of course, hasn't been as dominant as it has been in, past years, but still rocking at a 25.4 percentage rate. Meanwhile, Calgary 17th with a 21.5, and the penalty kill, nothing to write home about either one of these clubs here on the PK, 23rd and 26th respectively. So tonight's game could be fought on the special teams, but when it comes to shot attempts, both teams fantastic. That's 7th with 51% for the Calgary Flames, almost 52%, and 4th for the Oilers. And of course, high danger scoring chances. The Oilers first, 55.29%, and the Flames 22nd, 48. Of course, the Oilers have all these high danger scoring chances, but finishing has been their Achilles heel all year long. So just some interesting stats to notice before tonight's game. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about tonight's game. Do you think, Rodriguez should have got the start over Pickard? I thought so. But of course, I've also seen, the glass half full, glass half empty, the other side of the coin, where you don't want to throw Rodriguez into such a big game this soon, because of course, bad night for Rodriguez, and that does a lot to the mentals, and also does a lot to the Edmonton Oilers, where this part of the season, how important the games can be, and you're relying on a rookie goaltender to lead you to the promised land. So lots of interesting arguments from both sides, and I'm willing to hear all of them. So if you have any more, let me know down in the comments. And folks, Leon Draisaitl is back. Hopefully that means Connor McDavid isn't too far away, and especially Trent Frederic too. Have yet to see Trent Frederic on the ice for the Oilers. But folks, enjoy the game tonight. It's the Battle of Alberta. Let's go Oilers. Let's get these 2 points, and we'll be back with a recap tomorrow afternoon. Take care and enjoy the game tonight, folks. Let's go Oilers. I'm Matt.